I'm Rebecca Calos, ESYO's Executive Director, and we've got a team of folks here today to talk about the audition process. As people join, we're going to ask everybody to stay muted until the end, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask some questions and get answers to things that you didn't get answers to during the webinar. So today is really all about kind of how you go from the beginning stages of learning about ESYO and about the ensembles all the way to the point of being able to actually fill out the application to submit your videos for an audition into the organization. And we have lots of experts here today to help us understand that process. Just so that everybody's aware as well, we are recording so that we can share this link after the fact and put it on our website so that people can go back and rewatch certain things if you're not sure how to do it once you go to do it on your own. All right, so at this point, I am going to toss it over to Etienne, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about how you would even just go about learning about the different ensembles that you might want to audition for.
Yes, hi, and good evening. I'm Etienne Abelin. I'm the music director of the Empire State Youth Orchestra. I'm very happy to have you all here, and I'm just gonna introduce you to how to navigate this website. So you see here on the screen, Explore ESYO. That's a great starting point to get to know what's going on here. And when you scroll down that page, you will see the different groups that that can be auditioned for. And if you click on a group, there we go. We have Symphony Orchestra, Chamber Orchestra, Rep Orchestra, Wind, etc., etc. When you click on an ensemble, you'll see the NISMA level of that ensemble. You see when they rehearse. You see who's the conductor, the musical leader of that ensemble, and so you can see where your kids or where students fit in best, most probably. It's a progressive program, so it's common for people to be in one ensemble for about 2 years, and then they often will move to another ensemble. So that the youngest string players, for example, start with concertino strings, then they might move to string orchestra, they might move to then the full symphony orchestra, repertory orchestra, and then move to symphony orchestra, which is the highest level symphony orchestra. But students join at various stages. They can join whenever they want to. They can start depending on where they are, and when you enter the organization, you can start in one ensemble or the other. So if you're already a high school student and you start in repertory orchestra, that's perfectly okay, and that happens all the time. Some students are in different ensembles. For example, in symphony orchestra, which I conduct, we have wind players who are also in wind orchestra, or there are people who are both in an orchestra and in a jazz ensemble or in percussion ensemble. So you can do ensembles with different instrument groups, different conductors, different genres. And there are discounts for students who do that. I encourage you to explore the website more. There are a lot of things there to find out about, special opportunities, special guests that we always have come in. There's a virtual concert hall. You can listen to the different groups, find out about the conductors, and always check news and events. There are also a few more open rehearsals coming up now in the coming weeks, and I'd encourage you to go to several of those and find out about the ensembles, sit in, even play along, and just get to know the different ensembles. And there are also end-of-year concerts coming up now, and please go to those as well. You will see what ESYO feels like and what the ensembles can do. And I now want to toss it over to David, who will talk a bit about the audition process.
Excellent. Thank you. Hi, I'm David, and I've been an ensemble placement judge for 13 years now, and I was asked to give some advice. So, first of all, everyone at ESYO wants students to sound their best when they audition. This helps us recommend the ensemble that's most appropriate for each young musician. A good audition starts with good preparation and regular practice. So here are my top recommendations for those practicing in preparation for an ESYO audition. First, work with a teacher to select appropriate solos. Very important. A good audition piece will showcase the student's full technical and musical abilities, while also allowing them to demonstrate quality of tone, accuracy of intonation, and rhythmic control. Remember, it's only 3 minutes maximum for each solo. So if your piece is longer than 3 minutes, select the part of the piece where you sound your best and record that part. A 2-minute recording is absolutely acceptable, and that way you're investing your time in the section that you're going to record. For those preparing two contrasting solos, it often comes up, what does that mean, contrasting? Contrast can be represented in a variety of ways, and it's absolutely fine if these solos are contrasting sections from the same piece. You could demonstrate contrast in tempo, something faster, something slower, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be the time period the music's from. It could be a romantic piece versus a Baroque piece, or style. It could be something very legato and lyrical versus something really rhythmic and staccato. There's lots of different ways to show contrast, and the judges are very open-minded when it comes to that aspect. I would really recommend that you capture your solos when they're fresh. So if someone's preparing for a NISMA performance, I would recommend recording that solo around that time. Of course, setting aside a separate time to do that is really important. In terms of recording the other requirements, they don't have to be done all in the same day or even the same week. You set aside a time that's really good for you to do the excerpts, and time that's good for the scale, and a time that's good for the solo. Capture all those, catalog them, and make sure they're submitted together. I would absolutely recommend that you give a lot of time well in advance to make these recordings. This gives you a chance to share the recordings with your teachers, to get opinions and feedback. And in the case you need to re-record something, you have time to do that as well. When it comes to preparing the excerpts, I would really recommend bringing these to your teacher on a regular basis, finding a good reference recording to hear the music in its context, and using a metronome. Using a metronome is always important, but it's very important when we're talking about preparing an excerpt. The scale is something that helps us understand the student's range. And often range is very important in knowing where they can be appropriately placed. So you want to demonstrate the range from low to high, your full range. A variety of speeds and articulation is absolutely fine. It's also a chance for you to demonstrate your ability to play in minor keys or key signatures that have a lot of sharps and flats. But in the end, work with your teacher to pick a scale where you're really going to sound your best. And when you do the scale, we strongly encourage embodied musicianship. And for that, I'm going to pass it back to Etienne, and he can explain what embodied musicianship is and why we encourage it. So there will be a chance for questions later, but I think that is some advice for you in preparing your audition.
Yes, thank you, David. And you see here on the page, the how to audition in Join page, you see a video that shows a bit of this, what we call embodied musicianship. So in the whole organization, what is important to us as part of musicality, of musicianship, as like being expressive and telling a story, one part is how do we breathe with the music, and how do we breathe with our instrument? And that's very crucial. And what we can do quite easily on scales is practice that and then demonstrate that. So adequate to the respective instrument. So basically, if you have, let's say you have a clarinet, and you just sort of breathe with the speed of you playing those notes, and that's something that we want to see. It's clearly a part of musicianship. It's best done in the scales. You can do it anywhere. Please bring it to teachers as well. Show them this video. They will understand what we're after, and they will help bring that out. It's also an essential quality really for ensembles to play together. If at some point the conductor is not there, you can play together when you all breathe together. So that's important for all our ensembles, and it's strongly encouraged to deal with it. The judges will look for that also as part of seeing what the musicianship of the student is. And that's that. One thing I wanted to add still is that when it comes to solo pieces, you can submit pieces that you recorded after January 1st, 2023. So if you already have 2 minutes of a solo piece recorded, it's absolutely possible to use that. And handing it back over to David?
I think Sue.
Are we going to go on to
Sue.
requirements? Okay.
Okay.
I'm Sue Lascoe, Director of Operations and also Repertory Orchestra Manager. And the first thing I'm going to say is everyone needs to audition, even current members. The audition process is for everyone for placement for the upcoming season. So what does it mean? What do you need to do to audition? So the page that you see right in front of you now, join an ensemble. We're going to just kind of go down through, and I'm going to hit some of the highlights. The first thing is right at the top, deadlines. Pay attention to those carefully. If you are a percussionist and you will be taking an in-person audition, you are the only group that does an in-person audition. So for you, your deadline to submit your application, when you submit that application, you are then going to be scheduled for an in-person audition on June 10th or 11th. Everyone else, your deadline is June 9th to submit your audition application, which includes your recordings, your concert recordings of your requirements. So as you scroll down a little more, you'll get to how you're going to begin is you're going to choose your instrument family. So we'll just take strings to start with for an example. And then you choose your instrument. We're going to do cello as a demonstration. So any instrument you click, your page is basically going to look like this. It's first going to tell you which of our ensembles you would be eligible for the instrument you play. So string players, your choices are the 2 symphony orchestras, full symphony orchestras, string orchestra, concertino, and every instrument, string, woodwind, brass, you're all going to see repertory jazz in addition to the classical audition. So you're going to go through, and the requirements are basically the same. And I'm just, for all instruments, I'm just going to touch on the few exceptions. Everybody's going to have to do solos. So you do, David already mentioned 2 contrasting solos. The exception will be if your level of playing is concertino strings, you need to do just 1 solo. If you, just 1 on those, and then on everyone else is doing 2. Then you have scales, everyone is doing 1 scale. Excerpts, 2 excerpts, except the exception is, again, concertino strings. You just have to do the excerpt for that ensemble, and woodwind and brass players who only want to be considered for wind orchestra only. You just need to do the wind orchestra excerpt. Everyone else is preparing 2 excerpts that best align with their current level of playing. If you're repertory jazz, because that's your area of interest and your level, any instrument, and your requirement is 1 standard jazz solo. That is your only recording you will be submitting. We won't go into audition application because Andrea is going to do that, but then you can see where you can click excerpts. That's where you're going to see exactly what those excerpts are that you're going to need to prepare for your instrument. So everybody has at least 1 excerpt to prepare except the rep jazz folks. And here's an example. So you're going to see them labeled by ensemble, and that you'll just go through that with your teacher, finding the 2 that best match your level. Good. Okay. Then before you do any recording, do anything, take a look at these video guidelines. You can use your phone, you can do it at home. There's nothing, whatever you have access to record your audition material. So this is very basic, just you can read through it when you're figuring out. And again, the only folks not doing a video are the classical percussionists. Now, jazz drummers, you are going to have your audition as labeled as the jazz. You're not doing the classical percussion. So there's a spot to click when you're back choosing your instrument family and jazz. Yep. That's good. You will see as you scroll down through, okay, you'll get to jazz drum set. And that has different requirements, very different than the classical percussion. Also, if anyone that's on that has taken a youth jazz audition before, that's the most advanced jazz group, the requirements are different this year. So please read them. Your solo piece is optional for youth jazz, but you now have scale to prepare, and you have excerpts, and you prepare all the excerpts for your instrument. And I think at this point, I will pass it to Andrea to go through the actual application process.
Okay, great. My name is Andrea Restrepo. I'm the orchestra manager of Symphony Orchestra and music librarian. So I'll take you through the process of filling out your application to ESYO. That you will find in the join button at the bottom where it says start instrument audition application. Here, it will take me to the form, and I had already filled out some information to show you that it will be automatically saved in your drive. And this is the reason why we asked your email twice. The first one is so that it's connected to your drive, and then that you can close it and go back to it if you haven't finished. And then the second one is for us to have it in our files. So this is everything that you see right now is basic information: first name, last name, phone number, years of study. You can go through all of that: school, private teacher, emails, all of this. But then when you get to the bottom, it will be you'll be asked for which category you're going to be applying for or auditioning for. In this case, I'm going to just do the classical strings, and then I'm just will go next. And here I'm going to choose cello because that's one of the ones that we were looking at before. And I had already uploaded my scale. And after this, you'll be asked for the excerpts. if you are going to submit your only concertino strings excerpt or concertino strings and string orchestra excerpt. So I chose concertino strings and string orchestra excerpt. And after I do this, after I go to the next page, I'll go back and show you how the concertino strings look like. So here, I'll be asked to prepare to upload 2 solos, contrasting style and tempi. And the first question is title and composer of solo. So title, cello concerto, and the composer, Elgar. And I will just add a file to it. And it's so your files could be in your computer or saved in your drive. And then I'll pick just one of the videos that we have for my first audition solo. And then the second one, Bach, cello suite 1, Bach. And I'll just pick one more. Then I'll be ready to upload my first and second excerpt, which in this case is the concertino, concertino and strings. So this one, the first one, and this second one, those 2 excerpts. Okay, then I'll pick my excerpt. Let's say that's my first excerpt and then my second excerpt. Remember, they should be recorded separately so that you can upload them in different files for this for the purpose of having the first and second excerpt separately. Then, as I mentioned before, I'll go back to concertino because it's a little different, and click on it, and you will see that you are only asked for 1 solo and 1 excerpt, as Sue Lascoe mentioned before. But I will not be doing that right now. But I just wanted to show you. So also by doing that, I can prove that it is saved in your drive, as is shown here. So everything that I had done before is saved, and then I'll go to the next page. Then you have to ask your parent to, or you should be doing this with your parent, and you should get permission from them. So yes. Then you go to the next page, and then here you can apply for an application fee waiver or pay online through PayPal or Venmo. So when you click submit, don't leave this page yet, because right after this you will get a link. Will show. Just takes a couple of seconds, hopefully not minutes. And okay, so here is the link. So don't leave this page yet until you click on this link, because it won't be done until you pay for the application. Or if you apply for the fee waiver, then you won't have to do this part. Okay, so here I'm taken to the payment section. You just have to, your payment options are credit card or PayPal or Venmo. And after that, you should have received an email, a confirmation email to the email that you provided first. So in my case was this other one, and I should have it here in my inbox. It says, okay, it's right here. Thank you very much for, this is your the email confirmation that you will get after you click submit. And that will be the end of the audition process. Very straightforward. And that will be the end of this section.
Thank you so much, Andrea. So we're going to open it up now to questions from the group. You can put them into the chat. Or if Etienne, if you can unmute everyone, and Andrea, if you can exit from the screen so that people can see each other, that'd be great. And just fire away if you guys have questions. Unmute and ask the question, and one of us will try to give you a good answer. Or maybe there is no questions.
Yes, very clear.
there's something I want to follow up on that Sue mentioned. There's the video guidelines, which is a nice PDF that we have. There's also a fantastic video on tips for making a really good looking video made by our own students on one of our join pages. And that's a very informative and fun video to watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Thanks for doing that. I don't know where I can unmute everybody, but I think everybody can unmute themselves, right? I believe. But yes, maybe there are no questions. Things are just clear.
One thing that I just would like to draw your attention to is this is a no-risk audition. So if you were not placed after audition process and goes through, and if we were not able to offer you a placement because you're just perhaps just not ready yet for an SEO group, your audition fee will be refunded. So you're not losing out at all if we are unable to offer you something at this time.
That's an excellent point. Thank you. So it seems like we have no questions. If you do have a question after the fact, an hour later, you realize that you had a question, please feel free to reach out to any of us. Sue Lascoe is the one that probably knows the most about the audition process and how it all works. So feel free to reach out to her directly. And feel free to watch this again if you want to follow along step by step with what Andrea showed you, for example, with how to actually fill out the audition form. But otherwise, thank you all so very much for attending tonight. And hopefully we will see your audition tapes in the next couple months.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody. Bye.